Greetings, travelers, and welcome back to Goldbound, the challenge series where our rogue, Goldylocked, is exploring the map of Azeroth one zone at a time. Each new zone can only be unlocked once he's earned a WoW token in his current zone, and currently, the price of a WoW token is hovering around 321,000 gold. And Goldylocked has worked his way through Elwyn, and now we're grinding through the knolls, rares, herbs, and fish of Redridge, all for an elusive second token to unlock the next zone. And Goldylock's ultimate goal? To explore all of Azeroth and earn the title of Explorer. Now, this challenge isn't without its own restrictions, and Goldylocked cannot buy items on the auction house, or from other players. He can only sell on there, which means every copper, silver, and gold is coming from items collected within the zones. But that just makes the unlocks even sweeter. So welcome back to Goldbound, and let's show Redridge Mountains what Goldie is really made of. Now, we've been in Redridge for a few weeks at this point, and in this episode, the plan is to make some serious progress. With the full-time streaming and content creation schedule, we'll be able to log some serious time on some of the best and most reliable gold farms the zone has to offer. So let's pull up the map and take a look at which areas of Redridge we've covered so far, and which ones may still be hiding a few secrets. We've of course got the Condor farm, where the gold per hour has been steady and dependable, albeit maybe higher during Winter's Veil. Now the Murloc camps can cough up some big ticket items, but they tend to be a little bit slower to sell. And of course, the rare targets scattered across the zone are always worth hunting down for a few BOE transmog pieces. And of course, we've run the herb and ore loops, a nice passive income while farming. We've also gone deep into the Blackrock Orc caves, searching for some pauldrons and some treasures. And all of the knoll farms in every location of the map have been tested, and we've pretty much gotten every drop we need, just waiting on those sales now. Along the way, we found out that even the fishing spots can be surprisingly profitable if you've got the patience. So at this point, you can say we've largely covered the map. We've outlined all the secrets I know of in Redridge. But there are still two areas that remain untouched. Places that most players ride right past without giving a second thought. Althor's Mill and Render's Valley. So why haven't we tapped into these? Well, it comes down to the current state of the quest lines. With the orc invasion story running through this part of the zone, once you complete and turn in the quests, the old mobs in these areas actually get phased out, which means we can't go back and farm them once we've completed the quest lines. So while there's still gold potential there, Goldylocked is essentially locked out behind phasing. And in hindsight, we maybe should have capitalized on these areas before completing the quests, but we just didn't know it at the time. So for now, those farms remain unexplored and inaccessible. But of course, through all of this, we've been quietly stockpiling quite a bit of transmog. And one key aspect of going full-time and having more time to play is that we can actually really start doing some serious undercut competitions. Tradeskill Master lets us do a scan to see if anyone's posted an item for cheaper than we're offering it. Because if you're not the cheapest on the auction house for transmog, it's not going to sell. So if we do a few of these undercut scans every day, more of our items will be the lowest priced, and more of them should sell. So stay tuned for that auction house reveal. And honestly, we've got more of certain pieces than we can realistically sell. So instead of just letting them sit, I figured, why not put together a zone-specific Redridge set? One of my favorite sets from this zone has always been the Bandit set. And if we take a look at our postings, we already have pretty much every piece up on the auction house, all except for the cape and the chest pieces. But both of those, of course, do drop in the zone. And doing a little bit of research, they have the highest drop rates from a few of the rares in the zone, mainly Chitter, Chatter, and Snarlflare. So if the drops cooperate, it won't be long before we're walking around fully bandited out. But we've got some serious work to do this episode, and a lot of gold to make up if we want to go to Redridge anytime soon. So let's talk about the key farms that I'm going to tag down this week. And the number one priority is keeping the Frayed Knot stocked on the auction house. These things carried us out of Elwyn, and now that both Elwyn and Redridge are nearly fully explored, they're going to be just as essential for getting us through to that next token. It's one of those long haul staples that pays off across multiple zones. But Frayed Knots aren't the only way forward. While running a repo scan this morning, I actually noticed something interesting. Small eggs. They've crept up in value from about 6 gold each to nearly 10 gold apiece. This might be in anticipation of the Feast of Winter's Veil, coming up in a few months. But with that kind of early market movement, you better believe we'll be unloading a few stacks while the prices are hot. So we'll go over there and farm a few extra eggs, just to capitalize when the market shifts. On top of that, we've got a handful of other consistent farms in the sites. Things we'll be logging some serious hours on as we continue through the week. And potentially a new zone sometime soon. Let's turn to the question I keep seeing pop up. What are the next rollable zones for unlocks? Well, because we have Elwyn and Redridge available, the available zones that we can roll next are Dunmoreau, Westfall, Duskwood, Swamp of Sorrows, and of course, burning steps. And again, one of the more common questions I've been getting is, when and how are we going to unlock the Stormwind Stockades? This is a dungeon inside of Stormwind, which we haven't had access to, because we're just using Stormwind for the auction house. But here's how we're handling it. Of all the zones on the table, only one doesn't naturally contain a dungeon or a raid, and that's Duskwood. But, if we look back to the historical lore, there's actually a strong connection between Duskwood and the Stormwind Stockades. You see, back in the old quest lines, there was a chain called Crime and Punishment. It came from Councilman Millstipe of Darkshire, who sent you on a mission to the Stockades to obtain the hand of Dextrin Ward. These days, most of these quests are centered in Duskwood itself, and the Stockade-specific quests are actually just contained in the Stockades. But it's still in the game's history, and because of that, we're making the call. The Stockades dungeon will be connected to the zone unlock of Duskwood. This not only solves the Stockade dilemma, but also ensures that our next zone will include a dungeon to really spice things up. But there is one more thing I wanted to run by you travelers, and we'll be opening up a YouTube members only poll for about 3 days after this video launches. So if you'd like to have a hand in shaping where the journey goes next, make sure to cast your vote. And the poll is centered around crafting. So right now, we are chasing a few crafting recipes, mostly from fish crates and other rare drops scattered around Redridge. But as the series moves forward, we'll be targeting even more of these rare recipes, whether they come from dungeons, bosses, or raids. But here's the issue. On Goldylocked, we're limited to just 2 primary professions. That means we're constantly swapping back and forth from gathering to get the materials to crafting to craft them up. Then we unlearn our production recipes like tailoring and do it all over again. And every time we unlearn a production profession, we'll lose any rare recipes that we've collected along the way. Pretty painful. And this isn't a problem in games like RuneScape, where you can just train every skill in one character. But in World of Warcraft, it's a different story. So, what's the potential solution? Well, I've been thinking about opening up a Goldbound Warband. This would mean limited access alts for crafting support. The idea here is that every time we unlock a new starting zone, that would give us the option to add a Warband alt from that race. For example, if we unlock Dun Moreau, we could create a dwarf or a gnome who would just operate as a crafter. The primary purpose would be simple, acting as dedicated crafters. Maybe a tailor blacksmith, whatever we need, so that we can safely learn and keep rare recipes without losing them every time we swap. But, like I said, I'm pretty torn on this, and I can definitely see it going both ways. So this will be open for voting for about 3 days after this video. And with that out of the way, let's get back to the grind. When it comes to Redridge, we've pretty much cleaned up most of the items we want from these mobs, rares and transmog targets. All except one. Ro the Silent. His rare item has completely eluded us. Right now we're sitting at around a 40 kill count, and climbing, and yet nothing. But while farming this guy, we might have stumbled upon a hidden superstition, or maybe just plain old forbidden luck. So here's what we've been doing. It seems that if we stand on his cauldron right after killing him, before looting, and cast Recuperate, more often than not, we seem to get double green drops. This might be a coincidence, probably, but are we going to keep on doing this every single kill from here on out? Absolutely. At this point, we've really nailed down the top earners in the zones. Frayed knots, copper ore, fish chests, and rare spawns. So I have an idea. What if we made the ultimate dual zone farming method? Something to truly min-max all these different mobs and resources. Here's what I'm thinking. The rares in Elwyn Forest are on about a 20 to 25 minute spawn timer. The rares in Redridge, on the other hand, are closer to 45 to 60 minutes. That gives us some natural pacing to work with. Then we've got the Frayed Knots. These come from pickpocketing the Defias archetype mobs in Elwyn, but the rogue wizards at Stone Cairn Lake actually have the highest drop rate in the region. And once you've emptied their pockets, it takes roughly 10 minutes for them to reset. And as for ores, both zones give us copper, which is the bread and butter. But Redridge also adds tin and silver into the mix. Of course, tin's worth a little less, but silver going for around 20 gold each makes it well worth checking Redridge out for ores. And let's not forget fishing. Redridge Lake has both sagefish pools and floating debris, and the crates from the debris have a much higher drop rate for fishing chests. But the catch is, they usually spawn infrequently, but in clusters of 1 or 2, scattered around the lake. We're going to focus on a rotation that's farming primarily copper ore nodes, while skirting through a few silver ores in Redridge. This route will also swing by Redridge Lake to check out for floating debris, and every loop, which should be around 10 minutes, will be flying over Stone Cairn Lake, where we can drop down and pickpocket all the rogue wizards, for a chance at some Frayed Knots. Then, hopefully it syncs up with every 3 loops, or about 30 minutes, we should be able to tag a few element rares. And then every 6 loops, or about 60 minutes, we should hopefully get a few Redridge rares. The theory is simple, and even if we miss a rare spawn here and there, the loop is tight enough where we're always farming something valuable. And worst case, we're stacking up copper ore and frayed knots. And best case, we're crashing in on rares, transmog, and fishing crates, all in the same rotation. So I set a timer for about 5 hours, essentially a Goldbound workday, to see just how much we could actually snag up from running this loop. And let me tell you, this run did not disappoint. We managed to min-max enough rare kills out in Redridge to finally actually round out our bandit set. Chest piece, cape, and all. So it's a pretty clean look, and I'm pretty happy with it. But let's be honest, no matter how good we look personally, it's not going to unlock the next zone. What might though? Well, the Black Venom Blade could. Row the Silence prize drop. Over the last 5 hours, we've locked into his pattern and we're able to tag him over and over and over. And actually, on the very last kill of the day, boom, the Black Venom Blade acquired. That officially checks off Row's box for Redridge. This guy was tough, but we came out on top. Now outside of that highlight, which, let's be honest, was a massive highlight, and I don't remember getting that much adrenaline from any kind of WoW drop recently, the rest was kind of as you'd expect. A couple thousand more copper ore, a healthy stack of frayed knots, just to keep the sales steady on the auction house. But the min-max loop wasn't so min-max for fishing chests, and we came up pretty light. And I was really hoping to open quite a few of these and maybe get a recipe. So, let's go ahead and farm, maybe 98 more. Fill up the bank chest again. In real time, this took a few hours, but look at this now, and we have a full bank to go. So let's go ahead and crack these open, no time to waste. If you caught the last episode, you'll remember that we went 100 fish chests opened without any recipes, completely dry. This time though, luck finally turned our way, and we managed to pull a rare recipe. And this one both has some serious item value to sell it straight up as a recipe on the auction house, but could also open a very consistent transmog item that we could craft over and over for the months to come. So the real question, do we flip it right away, sell the recipe for a quick profit, or tuck it away for a Warband ult to start crafting with later? For now, I'm going to slide it into the bank, and I'll wait on the results of the members only poll before making the call. And to all of you who support the channel as a member, thank you. You're one of the main reasons we can keep putting more time and energy into this series and go full time in the content creation. And let me tell you, we have a few new ideas coming out for the channel. So for now, the recipe will stay put, and the decision of whether or not we'll have it on a Warband ult or not, well, that's up to you guys. So, we've really explored Redridge to the fullest this week, locking some serious farm hours across transmogs, ores, and endless undercut scans. Honestly, we need some bigger bags because my right finger is getting so tired from opening up the mailbox and reposting. But just when I thought the zone had revealed all its secrets, bang! 150k plus item hits the bags, the Redridge Machete. Now here's the crazy thing, I didn't even have this item on my radar. Supposedly it's a 0.28% drop rate from the Redridge Poacher, but it carries a wild market value. And like I said, I've been going into a lot of these farms blind, discovering them along the way, and this one just had completely slipped through the cracks. I didn't know it existed. That is, until it decided to drop itself straight into our inventory. So pair that with the countless hours of farming ores, condor eggs, and all the other farms we did over live on Twitch, I think you know what time it is. With the sheer amount of effort sunk into the undercut scans and farming over the past 2 weeks, I'm expecting something big from this mailbox clear. So let's get into it. Alright, and right off the bat, you can already see we've got 215 auctions sold. So, it's going to take 3 full opening cycles to get through. And straight away, we're seeing some of our familiar staples. Some handfuls of trade goods, some signature frayed knots, and some of the lower ticket transmogs. Things in the 100 to 300 gold range. And, are you seeing this? That's right, travelers. We actually sold our Broodmother Carapace. The very one we looted back in episode 2. Just sold for 117,000 gold. That makes it our single biggest sale so far. Honestly, this drop is so huge that it makes the Null War Harness below it look a little small by comparison. And look at this. Another big one, the Iron Patch Blade. This was our BOE World Drop Blue, gone for a tidy sum, and followed by a few copper bolts. If I'm adding things up right, we might just be on pace to afford a token today. The question might now be, how many? But as we keep going, the mailbox is packed with more trade goods, and we even see the bulk of our frayed knots selling off here. These are the ones we farmed over a few stream sessions. Our aggressive undercut scans have definitely been paying off. We've honestly sunk hours and hours into just scanning and reposting the auction house. Things like the Tarantula Silk Sash, Scimitars of Platoon, Fingerless Gloves. And if you look at this, we even sold the Shadowhide Scalper. And, for a good market value too. That's 3 major items just on one page. So let's go ahead and clear the first 100 mails and enjoy that sweet sound of the coins going into our traveler's backpack. And with that, even just the first 100 mails push us all the way up to 387,000 gold. Keep in mind, we still have 125 to go, so buckle up. Now looking at the second set of 100, these are most of our lower price transmogs, and I saw a lot of these popping off after I did those undercut scans. But of course, sprinkled in with this are a few copper bolts and some small batches of eggs, which all add up. And again, into the bags. Okay, the last 26 mails doesn't look like it's carrying any crazy items, just some more trade good and smaller transmog pieces. So, we'll hit that open all button and see where the total climbs to. Oh my gosh, a whopping 410,000 gold in the bags. I didn't think we'd ever even break the 300k mark on this character. This number is so high that even if we were playing on EU servers, which have a notoriously high WoW token price, we'd have enough to cover it. And right now on NA, the token's sitting only at 281,000 gold. So let's fly over to the auction house and make our currently lonely token a little less lonely. And just like that, travelers, the second token is officially acquired. And when I said we were hitting the gas pedal going full time, I wasn't bluffing. We've logged some hours these past 2 weeks. But the big question, what zone is next? Well, I want this unlock to be as hype as possible. And since I've been very public about wanting Westfall the most, we're going to do this one live, just to avoid any speculation. So join me this Sunday, September 14th, at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, both here on YouTube and over on Twitch. We'll spin the wheel together, and we'll see where the adventure takes us. That way, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, and we know the spin was legit. Also, don't forget to vote in our members-only poll for Warband alts, because if we roll Dunmoreau, well, that decision's really going to matter. This poll will be set to close right before we spin the wheel. Until then, travelers, may your blades never dull. Go with honor, friend.